Alright, building a computer today. This is the Antec P280 case. Very big, very nice. Power button on the top, reset button up here. Got room for 2 fans up here. Filters out at the bottom. It's actually pretty nice there. Kind of a sweet filter. So you got a filter on your power supply. That's going to be the inside of the case there. Room for all your hard drives right here. Really nice, easy access it looks like. Pop them in, pop them out. Optical drives can go up here. All your connections for your motherboard are right here for you. Pretty sweet. So you got your 2 120 meter fans right up here. One right here. Vents for your power supply fan right here. This will be where your power supply goes. That's what we're going to work on today, is get this guy built. Typically, first thing we'll do is toss in the power supply and move on to the motherboard and then the rest of the components. Okay, so for the power supply today, we're actually going to go with the Antec High Current Gamer 620 watt power supply, continuous power, 135 decibel fan, and it's actually completely modular, which is actually really nice. Makes things a lot easier for getting your cables run through your case. This is the actual power supply itself. You know there's only one cable coming out of it right off the bat. That's going to be for your motherboard. Your screws. And your bag of modular cables. Based on the design of this guy here with the fan at the bottom and with the vent down there, it actually makes a lot more sense just to line it up. Nice, toss in a few screws, keep it in place. I usually tighten them down almost all the way first and then come back and tighten them down later. So once you have it in the spot you want, it's a little bit easier that way. And voila, Sabertooth 990 FX. Really sweet board. It's got the military compliance parts on here to actually make it a little bit tougher, longer lasting. Got a nice little 5-year warranty, which definitely kind of helps. Now for the motherboard, typically you want to lay the machine flat so you can actually get things tightened in properly, or lay your case flat anyways. I know it makes it a little harder for you guys to see what I'm doing, but of course you got your connection shield here on the back. You want to make sure you pop that in before you actually slide the motherboard into that area. That way all your ports line up properly. Now that is one sweet looking motherboard. And you want to carefully set it in there. A fairly big case. But you do want to make sure they're tight enough to keep the motherboard in place. Pretty easy work there. Alright, there you go. As you can see, we've got the motherboard in place. Usually there's some plastic film you can peel off. on the motherboard that you don't want actually on there when the machine is actually running. You don't want that extra heat building up. Very nice design here. Very beautiful power supply. Next, we've got ourselves a heatsink to get ready to go in, and as well as the processor. Oh yeah. We've got a Zolman 990 or 9900 Max. Got a blue LED, which didn't really matter because this case won't have a glass panel in it, or side panel is visible. Now, this guy actually makes it a little more fun to get in here, because we actually have to remove the current heatsink blanks and replace those on the back of the motherboard. And this is one big CPU core. So big that it actually, without knowing, it may actually not fit in your case. So you gotta be careful. You gotta make sure you choose one that's designed to fit based on the measurements of the case and heatsink CPU cooler here. As you can see, it is pretty big. But based on the measurements, it should fit in here no problem. Okay, so next we got to remove the plates here. Already got one out. Remove this guy as well. Fortunately, with the Zolman cooler here, CPU cooler, they don't exactly give you the best of directions. So you kind of have to go by the pictures here, which don't exactly give you 100% faith in what you're doing, but hopefully we got it right here. With some cases, yeah, outside of the case. With this case, and luckily we're able to do it very easily because of a panel right here that's actually open. Granted, it's still not that easy, because you have to make sure everything stays in place enough for you to get the job done. So next we're going to have to put the processor on the board before we can put the cooler on it, which is a nice little handy little case for the processor here. AMD FX-8120 8-core processor. Talk about sweet. You want to make sure you line it up properly here. Usually there's an arrow, which looks like it's right in this corner here. You line up with the arrow on this guy and you should be good. Slide right on in, lock it down, and we're good there. Just line up nice and easy, so I'm going to make sure. Alright, so we've got the CPU cooler in here. Kind of a nice big old honking thing here. Looks like I got just enough room for that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and plug the CPU cooler into the motherboard here, just to get the cable out of the way. And it's going to go right on up here. Nice little fit there. Plenty of room on the cable there, and the way the fins are on the cooler here, it's not going to cause any problems. And next we're going to end up going ahead and putting the memory in, which we've got an 8 gig kit of Corsair Vengeance 1866.
There's a few glares on that one, Wayne, but yeah, thinking, there you go.
These guys are some really nice.
Always trust Corsair. I mean,
they're some of the best out there, yeah. I'm actually using the same memory actually in my other tower, which has an Intel processor. However, these are 1866, which is exactly the right speed you want to use with a AMD processor. Unless you got a board like this one, which actually can upgrade to like 2133, but it's kind of overkill. So, we gotta figure out which one is DIM 1, which is gonna be right here for us. It's gonna be too much of a angle there, so I don't think we're gonna get that in there with that. Not a big deal, we can actually use the secondary slots. It's not ideal,
but close enough.
Yeah. Computer doesn't matter too much, doesn't mind too much usually. There we go. Like that's in there just fine.
The DIM slot would be number 4.
Let me check, you got the heatsink right up here to help out with a little heat dispersion.
Show it again, Wayne. Yeah. Here's that second plate. There it is.
Looks like we're good there.
We're going to take a shot of that. Looks to be good. DIM slot 2 and 4. And that big old CPU cooler.
Oh yeah. Next we'll go ahead and get the video card in there. We've got an FX-7720 AMD video card. It's the gigahertz edition. Really sweet. And this is actually a very well built card here. Of course, we gotta sift through all the marketing materials here. And of course, you got the do not disturb door hanger here. Do not disturb, I'm gaming. Need to take that to Vegas, don't we?
And there's Wayne in all his glory.
Uh-oh. There you go. Beautiful card here. It actually came with some silicone wrapping around it. You want to make sure you get that taken out before you put it in there because you don't want the extra heat buildup from that. But this is a beautiful card, very solid build. Dual fans. It's designed to be very, very quiet as well.
Looks to be very quiet as well.
Ghost thermal imaging technology. Or thermal technology, anyways. Yeah, let's see here. Just gonna go right into the top PCI slot there. Gotta make sure we line that up right. Actually, we got an easy job this time. This case comes with
a lot of screw-ins.
Thumb screws, so it makes it really easy to screw them out. And when doing a video card like this guy here, it's going to require this motherboard. You got plenty of room for other expansions. You've got PCI-X2 if you're not using such a big video card. Yeah, you got your standard PCI, 2 more PCI Express cards, X16 slots. So you can put a TV tuner in there. Just about anything you can think of. A tight little fit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, clipped in nicely. Yeah, you just gotta screw the video card into your back panel here, so it's nice and tight. Yeah, these thumb screws really come in handy on a case like this. Makes the work a little bit easier, a lot quicker to get in and out.
And yes, folks, Wayne is using an Antec case with an Antec 620 watt power supply?
Yep. Yeah, you got the high current gamer 620 watt power supply. Antec, what was it, the P280 case. Asus Sabertooth board. AMD 8120 video.
An upside down Antec power supply. That's good.
Yep, it's upside down. Alright. We got this guy in there just fine. We'll get the power done a little bit later. We do all the cable runs. Alright, so we still got a optical drive to toss in here. We got a DVD burner, and then we'll toss a hard drive in here as well. Alright, so next we're going to put the hard drive in there. I've got a Seagate Barracuda 1TB drive. It's got a 64 megabyte cache, which means these things are going to run nice, quick, nice and fast. It's not going to be the main drive, it's going to be our secondary drive. We're going to have a solid state drive in here later. Fortunately, I don't have that with me right now. That's where we get this guy installed very easily. Slide out the panel here. And actually, I think we'll use the secondary slot. Leave that one for the solid state drive. Not that it really makes a difference, quite honestly. And if you look at this guy very easily, you've got your holes lined up, and you just line them up with the grommets on the case here. These grommets here are actually silicone, which means you're going to have less vibration and nice and quiet computing. Previous Antec designs for this kind of grommeting system actually have the grommets on the side of the hard drive. Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. This is actually a little bit easier to install.
And uninstall.
Yeah. Very much so. One more here. You just want to make sure it's tightened down a little bit. Don't want to make it too tight, but just tight enough to get the job done. And keep it in place. Grommet's going to do all the work for you anyway, so. Alright. Slide it in there and you're good to go. All you got to do is run your cables, which we'll get that in a second here.
Alright, so he's screwing in the LG drive.
DVD burner, multi-DVD burner. For once I didn't need to go with a Blu-ray drive on this machine, so.
Wait, no Blu-ray? Why?
Yeah. All my other machines have it, I just didn't feel this one needed it. Plus it adds like an extra $100 to your build. Tighten them just barely there, and we're good to go. So that's pretty much got almost everything you need ready to go for you. Next you're going to have to just run the cabling, which we've got everything from our USB 3.0 connector right here, for our standard motherboard inputs, you know, power and so forth, sound and all that good stuff. The motherboard will connect to the power from the power supply. And of course it gets fun here because you get to figure out how to run the cables the way that works best. Of course they got these really tight.
To just use your...
These are actually straps. You want to try to keep them in good shape, so you want to just carefully...
Or if anything happens, you can always use zip ties, like me.
You could. I don't like zip ties because they're plastic and they can melt. These are a little more of synthetic rubber, so less likely to melt. They're designed to handle heat a little better. So let's see how we want to do this here. Most likely with these guys, we can run them through here and then back out to one of the panels here. So this guy would normally go right there. The other one is going to be right up here.
You can run that towards the back as well.
Yeah, should actually work rather nicely.
As you can see, Wayne snaked the wirings in the back port.
Let's see if we should have just enough room to make this work.
Which
pretty good. A little bit of tight fit here, as you can see, but we can make it work. One down. Secondary connector is a little tight there. And of course, if you think it's too tight, you can always get extensions for these. I don't like using extensions unless I actually have to.
It's going to be more clutter in the back.
Just adds more clutter and also makes a little more heat built up in your case. Go. Those guys are in there. Looks like pretty solid connection there. Next, we'll run the primary power from the power supply. Once again, looks like it's going to be another very tight fit. Maybe too tight. Yeah.
Easy in.
Perfect.
And we'll focus into that.
Pretty perfect there. Alright. Let's see. Now, another fun part here is actually figuring out where each connection is on the motherboard versus what the connection is here. Antec's pretty good about labeling most of their connections. It's not quite as easy as you would like, but you can use the Asus Q connector here. It kind of helps eliminate some of those issues.
We wish we had those back then, Wayne.
Oh, tell me about it.
It would have been
saved
a total help. Instead of figuring out which one works and which one doesn't.
Yeah.
Look how easy that is.
Power bit minus. Power bit plus. Alright, so this is the Q connector, already connected with all the case connections, your power button, your reset switch, hard drive indicator, LED, and your power LEDs. We're going to see if we got enough room to run it through the back of the case. And of course, be careful not to let the cables come undone while you're snaking them through like that either. And the Q connector is already pre-aligned up, so you just snap it in there and you're good to go. Got USB and HD audio along with the USB. So you can see they actually give us a USB ground connector ready to go if your USB connector is separate. This one's all put together already, so you don't have to worry about that so much. Although if you want, you can just toss it in there and line it up. But
might be a little too. Never mind. Perfect fit.
There you go. Next we got a USB 2.0 connection. Just going to go right over here. We'll do the same thing. Should be able to just run it straight down and up. Next, we've got our USB 3.0, which, as you can see, has a lot more connections in it because it does take a lot more bandwidth. So you get that extra boost of speed there. Plenty of cable length. There you go. Your primary cables are all connected there. Next, we'll have to get our optical drive and our hard drive plugged in, as well as the case fans. This little bad boy here is going to connect our two optical drives, like our optical drive and our hard drive. This extra piece here is actually not necessary for this video card. On some video cards you do have a spot for an extra connection for additional power if you need it. Alright, so as you can see, we've got the cables on the back side here. All we have to do is essentially tie them down so that they allow the back door panel to close properly. I want to make sure we don't put too much strain on it because they are connected on the other side to the machine. We've got the one big connection here, which we'll use to try to get. Zip tie in there. Door goes in an angle in this model.